What's up, guys? It's G here, and welcome back to the Grizzly Life podcast. We're kicking off a new quarter, and in this episode, Colton and I are breaking down our Q2 personal goals. Also, Colton just finished one of the books that he mentioned in the last episode, and will be sharing the key takeaways he got from it. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications. Now let's get into episode 11 of the Grizzly Life podcast.
Yo, what is up, guys? You got Colton here. It is our Thursday episode 11 of many, so thank you guys for tuning in. Another practice episode for us, working on our drive, working on getting stuff flowing in the right direction. Last episode, it was Chase and I just trying to have a conversation, just kind of working back and forth, and I felt like that went well. You know, we haven't practiced that, but it was a good conversation, I felt like, so that was good. If this is your first time tuning in and you have not listened to this podcast before, please go back and listen to episodes at least 1 through 4. That gives you a brief history on us and who we are and how it all came to be. Today you've got just me, Colton Burt, with my brother G in the producer chair. So today we are going to talk about Q2 goals. It is, early April here now. I believe this episode will be released on April 3rd. So today we're going to talk about goals, goal setting, a little bit about that, my personal goals for the next 90 days and kind of what I'm looking at. Talk about G's goals a little bit too. And then I'd also like to bring in a book that I just wrapped up and kind of give you some lessons I learned from that and just kind of touch on those. But before we get started, again, if this is your first time tuning in, a little bit of background about us and what we do and who we are. My name's Colton Burt. I am 26 years old. I own 6 fitness centers or fitness facilities. They are 24/7 style. We collect really badass gym equipment, rare stuff, cool stuff, plate-loaded stuff. We throw it in the gyms. We make cool facilities for small communities. 5 of those gyms, the name is Grizzly Fitness. I own those outright. And the 6th gym is called Grizzly O-Town. I am partners with Jacob Colburn of O-Town Iron out of Oshkosh there, and so that is gym number 6. We also own a company called Priority Fitness. Priority Fitness is a fitness equipment servicer, seller. We move gym equipment full-time, equipment sales. We do everything fitness equipment related. So if a gym needs equipment moved and spaced out, 6 feet due to a pandemic, we're the company that comes out and moves the equipment apart. If a gym needs, a lot of things that we'll do there too, or things that we did in the past during the pandemic, which is interesting. We would actually move equipment into their pickleball court as a little fun side note there. A lot of YMCAs were using their pickleball courts for gym equipment during that time to space them out. But anyways, we do equipment servicing for YMCAs, anytimes, residential customers, any kind of commercial customer. We sell used equipment. We sell some new stuff. We install a lot of new stuff. We don't sell the new product as much, but we install it for the manufacturers direct. So that is what Priority Fitness does. We've got about 20 to 25,000 square feet of storage for that business, equipment and storage, but also shipping and receiving and that kind of stuff. And then as well, we own 4 pieces of real estate, 3 of which our gyms occupy and 1 of which is just sitting vacant currently, just waiting to be utilized the way we want to utilize it. So that is a little brief background on us and what we do and who we are and how we kind of got our start. This is the Grizzly Life podcast, and this podcast is to be kind of a mentality and just kind of way of life. And it's for our gym members, but it's for just kind of the general public as well, whoever wants to listen in and tune in. So anyways, we're going to get into it. The main topic today is Q2. It is quarter 2. Those of you who do not know what that means is the year in the business eye is split up into 4 quarters. January, February, March is Q1, and so on, right? So every 3 months it's a new quarter. We're on Q2 now. So every new quarter that comes up, we try to think of new goals and things that we can accomplish on the business sides of things, but we also try to meet with our individuals on our team, our staff, and kind of help figure out what direction they want to go in the next 90 days as well. So I'm not going to dive too much into like our business side of things. We do have a lot of goals over the next 90 days for our gyms especially. A lot of our gym goals are going to be marketing related, kind of getting on a better routine content base there, which is something I'm working on personally as well. We've obviously got like revenue targets and that kind of stuff, memberships, community events, ways that we can get involved in the community and stuff like that. So we've got a lot of those goals kind of lined up, and we break it out a lot more in depth for our business sides of things. And same thing with Priority Fitness. We kind of have a lot of the same similar goals. Marketing, how do we get more customers? Yeah, I'm not going to dive too deep into Priority because it gets a little bit more complicated, but we've got these goals kind of in place for that over the next 90 days. Each of our meetings, every Friday or every other Friday when we sit down, we review those rocks, those goals that we have set for Q2 or Q1 or whatever it is. And we just kind of keep it present. You know, are we moving in the right direction? Is it still at the forefront? Do we still want to be focused on this goal? Has our vision changed at all within this 90-day period? So that's kind of how we look at it from a business perspective. We're going to take it to more of a personal aspect. I want to kind of share with you what my goals are over the next 90 days, things that I want to accomplish. There's things that I did last quarter that I don't necessarily need to keep on for this quarter as my goals. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words here. I've got stuff that I accomplished in the last 90 days that I don't necessarily need to keep on for the next 90 days. And the reason I say that is I feel like it's become more of a habit than anything. So, you know, I've got a walking goal. I want to get in 10,000 steps, for example. It's usually more than that. It's usually 12 to 14,000 steps. But let's just say it's 10,000 steps. I don't really feel like I personally need to make that a goal for Q2 again because I'm excelling at that goal on a daily basis. I'm hitting 12 to 14,000 steps a day on average. Like, it's not something that I need to keep repeating and telling myself because by this point I feel like I've got it down. So for those of you setting goals, once you become once it becomes a habit to wake up at a specific time or take your dog for a walk every day or, whatever that little thing is that you feel like you're lacking, once that becomes a routine habit, you don't necessarily need to keep making it a goal. It should just be a routine. So that being said, I am reading a lot, but one of my goals for the next 90 days is to read more than I have in the last 90 days. I believe I have finished up to this point around 15 or so books, and I have another 5 or so books open and kind of halfway through. So my goal for Q2 is to at least finish another 12 books. So I guess not necessarily more than last quarter, but in terms of books, but for some reason the books I'm reading now are becoming longer and longer. I feel like the 500 and 600 page books make it a little bit more difficult to hit those book goals, but I would like to read another 12 books in Q2. A lot of that focus is going to be on like self-development, personal habits, like human psychology, and then also like the classics books like we talked about, any books that are over 50 years old that are still being written today. I want to read those books because they're around for a reason. And then also kind of reading the autobiographies, learning about amazing people and that kind of stuff. So that is my book reading goal for the next 90 days, is to be consistent reading and get another 12 books completed on the shelf. Goal number 2 for me is something that I set recently. I would like to practice shooting my handgun, maybe even like my bow. I would just like to get out once a week and take target practice. That is something that I don't ever do enough. I hunt with the family around here. I really don't even practice for that. I just kind of go out with the boys and we go hunting and that kind of stuff. So it's just something that I want to kind of work on, become better at that kind of stuff. So that's another one of my goals, is shoot target practice once a week. Another goal of mine is to drop 5 pounds of body fat. It's just a personal goal. Everybody's got their own weight goal or their fitness goal. I'd like to drop another 5 pounds of body fat there. And then and I think I talked about this in an earlier episode, is sometimes these goals can revolve around, like travel and stuff too. If you don't pre-plan your travel at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the quarter, you're going to be just kind of floating through life and you're not going to get to that travel goal or that adventure that you want to do. So I set a goal of getting to the cabin 3 times in the next 90 days. We've got a family cabin about 4 hours north, so it's not always easy to get to, but I'd like to make it a point to get there at least 3 times. And so what I will do next is pick out 3 weekends, maybe even 4 or 5 weekends that it can work. And then at least I've got them set aside and kind of booked for doing something like that. So those are some of my personal goals. I have a lot of other things that I'm going to continue doing, such as stay on the carnivore diet, such as get my activity goal in, work out every morning, all of those things. Read before bed, whatever. Like those are all habits, so I'm going to continue doing them. I don't need to talk about them for my Q2 90-day goals. So another important thing when you're doing this goal setting, don't write down 20 things that you want to accomplish or change. Pick 2, 3, at most like 5. If you pick too many things, you're going to forget them. You're not going to get them done. Just pick 2 to 3, maybe 4 or 5 things at most that you'd like to accomplish. Try to think about travel. Try to think about health and fitness. Maybe like a sleep style goal, which would also fit in there. Think of like a work-related goal. Maybe there's a skill you can improve on at work or something you can start doing better, showing up more timely to work, showing up an extra 5 minutes early to work, whatever that may be. And then also think about a financial goal. Those are kind of the categories I like to think about when I do set my goals. So finance goals or financial goals could be setting money aside each week into Acorns or Robinhood or your savings account or your 401k or your Roth IRA or that kind of stuff. Maybe you want to set aside $10 a week, $20 a week, $50 a month, whatever it is. Just think about it and get something down on paper and stick to it. If you're not a big saver, just say $5 a week. I want to put $5 a week into Acorns, or I want to put $5 a week into my savings account, or whatever it is. Start small, make it a habit, and build upon that. Don't set the goal too big and do $100 a week. If you're not set up for that, just do $5, $10 a week, whatever's good for you. That's what I would recommend in the finance aspect. I would also consider, do we have any retirement options set up, or have we thought about that? I've got some of my own feelings on like retirements and what works now versus what worked 20, 30, 40 years ago. But talking to somebody about later in life, what that looks like, if you're 20-something, 30-something, even 40-something, and you don't necessarily have everything kind of set up for that, I would start, if you're 40s, 50s here, I would definitely figure out something sooner than later. But regardless, talk to somebody who knows a lot more about finances and see what they recommend to do with the money that you've got coming and going. And just maybe that would be a good goal for Q2 as well, set up a additional savings avenue or investment avenue or whatever that may be. So that's kind of my take on the finance aspect. If you don't have anything set up yet, let's figure that out. If you've got it set up or you kind of have an idea how to set it up, let's start getting some money set aside for that and kind of work from there. On your fitness aspect of things, if you're already working out 5 days a week, that's great. What is something we can change? Can we get any stronger? Can we get any leaner? Can we incorporate running or stretching more? That kind of stuff. Hey, I want to increase my hamstring flexibility in the next 90 days. I would like to go for a jog. I'd like to run 10 miles a month or something like that, right? Like I'd like to run 30 miles for the next 90 days. Great. And then break that down into smaller goals and figure out how we can do that. Doesn't have to be running. We can do a walking goal and all that kind of stuff. But if you already are working out a lot in the fitness area, it's still good to set a new fitness goal. Maybe you want to do 100 push-ups a day, which is tough. I tried doing that last year at the beginning of the year. Lots of shoulder pain came from it on my end, but that's probably just me. Maybe you can do it. But you have plenty of other options you can do in the fitness field. Whatever it is, set a little fitness goal. Even if you've got a good routine, just find something that you can kind of add to it, change it up for the next 90 days and see how it goes and see if you make any good improvements from it. Regarding like the health aspect, I've been talking a lot about nutrition. What things can we do in the nutrition area that cleans up our diet? When we talk about our diet, it's not good to change everything at once. If you change everything at once, again, nothing's going to stick. It's like having too many habits and too many goals. So let's look at our diet and figure out what's one thing we can change. Can we bring in fruits or veggies more? Can we pick up a leaner red meat? Can we go organic when we shop a little bit, maybe on the meat side or the fruits or veggie side? Can we eliminate the bagged chips or, whatever that habit is of yours that you want to kick? Maybe you drink 3 sodas a day. Maybe you want to limit down to 1. Maybe you don't drink enough water on a daily basis and we need to increase that, right? Like whatever it is, let's just set a little goal for health over the next 90 days and make it a habit. So we've got fitness and health, we've got finance, a work-related goal, a business-related goal. That would be the last one that I would kind of look at. Think of the things that you do in and out of work. Maybe you want to start your own business on the side. Maybe you want to be a car detailer. Maybe you want to open a coffee shop. Maybe you want to open a gym, whatever it is. Or maybe you just want to be better at what you currently do. It doesn't matter. As long as it's like work related, let's think about that, right? Like I said, maybe showing up to work 5 minutes early because I'm late 2 days a week, and that's not good. It doesn't look good for me to get a raise someday. Maybe I want to learn a new computer skill because I'm already doing a lot of stuff with spreadsheets, and I just want to pick up a new skill to add to my list of talents, and maybe that can help me get a raise. Maybe I want to learn, one of the things that we're teaching over on our Priority Fitness side is learning how to drive truck and trailer, making sure you're confident doing that kind of stuff. So think of some of those work skills that you could utilize in your everyday life at work, and or think about things that you want to start learning or studying that maybe you want to start up on your own someday. Maybe you want to do a lawn care business or stuff like that as well. So studying that and learning that, and it could maybe be getting a business plan together for that. Maybe that could be one of your work-related goals. So anyways, that is kind of my input on that aspect of goal setting and kind of how I like to look at it and the different areas I like to talk about when it comes to goal setting. I know I didn't necessarily have like a financial goal. I didn't necessarily have some of that stuff. I do have goals in place that I'm doing on a regular basis. I'm setting money aside on a weekly basis. I did like to use a lot of like the Acorn style app, which is like an auto recurring, and there's a roundup feature on there. So if you've never used Acorns or you've never heard of it, look up Acorns. It's very easy. It's a solid thing to do. It sets money aside for a later date type thing. There's also Robinhood, which you can invest your own stocks and stuff like that. And then there's also M1 Finance, which is like another stock investment setup where you can kind of invest and do like more of a portfolio setup instead of just like buying this one stock and that one stock and making your own portfolio. M1 is really cool too. So there's some options you can kind of look at. And I believe M1 and maybe Robinhood now you can actually set up a Roth IRA through them as well. So feel free to look into that. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. I'm not a financial advisor by any means, but I like to talk finances. So if you've got any questions after this episode, feel free to shoot me any questions you've got. All right, that was a mouthful. We've got G here. I want to ask him maybe some of the goals he's got set for the quarter and kind of analyze them with him real quick. So what do you got over there for some goals for Q2?
Yeah, so I got 3 main goals so far. Maybe I'll think of some more tonight too. But goal number 1 is to read 3 books this quarter. I had this goal last quarter as well. Did I complete it? No. But I want to get in the habit of reading, at least 10, 20 pages a day. It should become a habit, and maybe next quarter it doesn't need to be a goal, or I increase that goal to, 6 books, whatever. I want to make reading a true habit of mine. Goal number 2 is work out 5 times a week. Most of the time I want that to be in the gym, obviously, but if I can't make it to the gym during the week at all for some reason, I'd like to get at-home workouts in, 100 push-ups, whatever. Goal number 3 would be a new diet that I'm on. Last quarter, in January, I was on the carnivore diet. February and March, I was on keto, which had actually helped cut a lot of weight for me. But now I'm looking to switch my diet, bringing carbs back in, having a 200 to 300 calorie surplus from my maintenance. So I'm going to be going on a clean bulk.
Fair enough. I think those are some solid goals for sure. Obviously, G is my brother, so I see him all the time, and I try to do my best to get him to do some of these habits as well, but I think he does want to do them for himself. So the reading goal is great. I think that's fantastic. I think it's a good goal that anybody should get into. And again, it doesn't need to be business books, but something that you're interested in. Maybe you like gardening, maybe you like animals, maybe you like anime or thrillers or Harry Potter, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Just get in the habit of reading. I do believe reading things that help you as an individual on a daily basis are important. Whether it's, like I said, I'm reading right now about a book about why we sleep. It's called Why We Sleep by, I think, like Matthew Walker or something like that. And it's interesting. You start learning more about it, and it's something we do every day. So a reading goal is always great, and trying to incorporate books that are going to educate you on things that you do every day or things that you'd like to learn more about. Maybe you want to learn more about dreaming. Maybe you want to learn more about, being a better person, being able to talk to people easier, whatever it is. Those are good goals and habits to learn or habits to build. So consider that in your reading goals. And so then G also has a goal of working out 5 days a week, which is great. And he's got a goal of continuing on a new diet, which is totally great too. Now, the point of this, again, the 90 days thing is find something, stick to it, and rock with it. And you don't have to keep doing it. Like Garrett's taken his diet, his original 30-day goal in January was carnivore, and then kind of tapered off that, went into a little bit easier into keto, so he could add a little bit more carbs back into his diet for 2 months. And now he's looking to do kind of more of a clean bulk because he's cut some body fat. Now he wants to kind of switch it up. So the next 90 days, he's going to kind of rework that diet again, and that's great. I think that's a great phase and a great way to kind of go about it. So that all sounds good. That is great. And a lot of people, when they do goal setting, some people need to take it to the extreme. I'm not to this point yet, but maybe I'll preach this differently next quarter or next year, whatever it may be. But a lot of people like to put the exact date on there. So in this instance, by April, May, June 30th or 31st, whatever the last day of June is, by June 30th of 2025, I will have ran 30 miles, right? Like they want it to be extremely the SMART goals, very specific. I don't get into all of that. I like to just kind of keep a vision board or ideas in front of my face on a daily basis saying, hey, this is what we're working on. This is what we're working on. And again, so that's kind of a wrap on that part of the goal setting. I would like to bring back up, make sure when you set these goals, you converse with your friends and family or those closest to you, maybe your coworkers, whatever it is. Let them know what some of your goals are if you can, if they're not extremely personal, and find out what their goals are. Do it with other people because it'll allow you to stay a little bit more true to them. It'll hold you more accountable. And again, it's okay if you switch up, obviously if you set it now, you want to stick to it. But if you got to switch a goal a little bit, like, hey, I'm actually going to read 15 books, I think, I'm going to up it. Or, hey, I've got knee issues and I started a running program. That's probably not the best one. I'm going to go back to walking or riding a bike. That's fine. But have these goals in front of you and your close loved ones, friends, family, whatever it is. Hold each other accountable and talk about them on a daily or weekly basis with those individuals. And I think that'll really help you achieve some of those things that you guys look to achieve. Again, whether it's financial, health and fitness, work-related, even if you only had 1 or 2 goals and you accomplished them, you're going to be much better off than not having any goals at all and just kind of going through life. So I'll leave it there. I would like to add, these goals should be around being 1% better. That's something I've been saying a lot of. So keep in mind, you want to be 1% better every day. It's a long-term play. It's not a short-term play. We don't need to be 20% better by tomorrow. Let's be 1% better. Let's slowly shift that mindset and those habits and become the best versions of ourselves. So anyways, that is my long spiel on goal setting for the quarter. Hopefully that kind of gets you rolling. I will try to lay off the goal talk here unless somebody else asks me a question about it, but we will move on from the goals. Topic number 2 that I would like to talk about is the book that I just finished. And I'm not going to make this a book talk podcast, but I feel like when I learn some important things from the books, I feel like I should share them because it will save you guys time from reading the book, or maybe it'll intrigue you to read the book. So, that being said, I read the book Sam Walton, Made in America. It was a very good book. I think it's like 330 pages or so. Those of you who know who Sam Walton is or who do not know who Sam Walton is, he is the creator of Walmart and Sam's Club. His name is Sam Walton, hence why he called it Sam's Club. Anyways, very interesting story on how Sam Walton did what he did and how fast he grew and all of those things. I know I touched base on this a little bit. But what I did was I kind of compiled, I think, 4 or 5 things that I kind of took away from this. Lesson number 1 was work hard and stay humble. The reason I kind of said this as one of the main things I pulled from this book is that Sam Walton was obviously a billionaire at some point, but he's extremely rich not when he started. When he started, he did not have that much money at all. He worked really hard and grew what he could. He obviously went public at some point and he made all of this money. He still had parties for all of his, I wouldn't say parties, but he had get-togethers for like 2,500 staff. And I don't know what year this was, but in the book he was referring to how he would have like 2,500 store associates or managers come to his house, and they would throw like an annual party where they'd all get together and they'd talk, and all Sam Walton would do was try to meet and greet all of them as much as he could and just ask how their store's doing, what's not doing, what's selling, what's not selling. And he would within 1 or 2 weeks of that party, he'd probably be out at that store that he found out something he didn't like to hear about, and he would go out and fix it. But he also had all of this money, invited people into his own home, but he also drove like the same old car. Like, he wasn't in it for the money. He originally said at one point that he only wanted to have 9 stores because once he got larger than 9 stores, he wouldn't be able to help oversee them all often enough because he was kind of like an addict on keeping his hands on everything. But he said that, and now, they've got thousands of stores, and he does amazing. So, anyways, work hard and stay humble is kind of lesson number 1. Remain who you are, be authentic, that kind of stuff, right? Lesson number 2 from Sam Walton himself is obsess over customers. His number 1 rule was giving customers the best prices and the best service possible. He would negotiate extremely well with the wholesalers he would buy from to put it on the floor in his store. They would do all of the trucking themselves, which Walmart is known now for being like they have their own warehouses set up, and they've got, again, thousands of semis moving all of their own product around. They're one of the largest retailers that do that in the industry. At least, again, this book is from like 90 and 91 or 92 when it was released. So at the time, they had the largest operations when it came to like the semis and trucking their own stuff. But he would negotiate the best prices for Walmart and for the customer. That was what he always had in mind. He didn't care. Like, he would make sure he negotiated the best possible price so he could carry over the best possible price for the retail or for the customers. So everything they did in their model was take care of the customer, service the customer, give the customer the absolute best price, smile at the customer. I think he also had a thing in the book where when he came within 10 feet of a customer, if any of store associate or store staff came in within 10 feet of a customer in the store, it was like a mandatory thing that you had to smile and say, is there anything I can help you with, right? So he saw that working and he implemented that, and so that's just kind of his thing. Obsess over customers. Put the customer first. Number 3 was always innovate. What was crazy about Sam Walton, and I said this last episode, is he spent more time in his stores and other customers' stores and across seas learning about what was working over there and implementing it into his stores. He didn't look for what they were doing wrong. He only looked for what they were doing right, and he would take it to their stores. Like I said last episode, I believe as well, is he would take a tape measure and measure how wide the aisles were apart, so that way he knew if he was optimizing his stores the best. He would take note on what stores and what areas, for example, Wisconsin, if there was a store in Wisconsin when he was opening up there, if he noticed this store that was not a Walmart was selling this type of clothes and he noticed they were moving really well, he would basically try to take that same line and put it in his store because he knew that it was moving well, or maybe a candy bar or whatever it was. But he spent so much time studying the competitors and what they did well and made it work. Same thing with the Sam's Club. He actually did not come up with the idea. His buddy out in California area had this idea called like the Price Club or something like that. Sam studied all about it, tape recorded the whole thing because that's what he did. He walked down with a tape recorder, recorded the whole thing, brought it back to Arkansas or wherever he was at, and opened up the first Sam's Club and became his new baby. So always innovate. Keep constantly studying competitors and learning from them. Number 4, empower your team. Sam believed in treating employees well. What he did was he gave a lot of them ownership, and so I'm not smart enough. I'm not educated enough at this point to explain to you how profit sharing and all that crazy stuff works, but he gave a lot of his associates, after they were there for so long, part ownership of the company. A lot of his early on employees made out really well, and he always gave all of his employees, they were allowed to talk. They were allowed to give their input. He had weekly meetings every Saturday morning at 7:30 for his associates and stuff like that. So just keeping a good, strong team and treating them with respect and, letting them make their own decisions and that kind of stuff is what he focuses on a lot as well. And number 5, take risks and keep pushing. He believed in growth as fast as he could, but he only took on what they could afford type thing as well. So Sam just did an amazing job of, you got to be willing to take the next step, take that risk. I'm a very low risk kind of guy, but don't be afraid of the next step in life. If you want to do your own thing or open your own thing or whatever it may be, figure out what the next step is. Do you need to learn more about it? Do you need to start it on the side? Do you need to do it Saturday nights? Do you need to, whatever that is, taking risks and willing to move forward in life and do what's best for you. And, don't listen to everybody else. You got to focus on what you need to do. So he took great risk, obviously, and it paid off greatly for him. And so those are kind of the 4 or 5 things that stood out from me in the book. I mean, he was extremely humble. He worked extremely hard. Customers, I mean, that was the biggest thing, is he put customers first. I mean, every chapter of that book, it was all about the customer. So, and him being in random stores. I think there's another story in there too. He would take his daughter to like the horse show or something like that every, so often, right? And his mom would say, okay, yep, go ahead, Sam, you can take her there. And the daughter knew that in their deal, Sam was going to drop her off to do the horse show by herself. Then Sam was going to go tour like the stores around the area, come back in time to pick her up, and then like take her out for ice cream or something, right? Like something weird like that. But that just goes to show how much Sam spent in other people's stores as well. Same thing, they'd go on a crazy family vacation. They'd drive 10 states away, and then all of a sudden, every state they drove through, Sam had to stop by stores, and that was just part of the family vacation. So that is kind of my input there on the book itself. There's some good lessons to be learned. I did like it. If you're looking to start a business or learn more about Walmart or learn more about Sam Walton, or just some good things, ways of life and just how to be a good person as well. Like there's a lot of good stuff in that book. So definitely a must read if you're into that kind of stuff. But here, I think we're going to wrap up here after my book talk there. So this is just an episode of Up in the Garage, just talking about what we could today. I'm hoping you can get out there and be 1% better. I'm hoping you can set some goals for yourself for the next 90 days. If you have any questions on the goals that you set, feel free to message me. If you want to add me on Snapchat, it is colton.burt, colton.burt. Instagram is coltonburt19. Facebook, search me, Colton Burt. Otherwise, my username there is also coltonburt19. I really appreciate having you guys on. I hope that you got some value out of this episode. It is episode 11 of many. We do ask that you share with friends and family members and all that kind of stuff. I also do want to try something here for those of people tuning into this episode, and this is not going to be a forever thing. So this episode is to be released on Thursday, April 3rd. We're going to go until, let me pull up the calendar here real quick. Thursday, April 17th. So if you're lucky enough and if you listen to this episode before Thursday the 17th, I'd like to give away some shirts. Not everybody's going to get a shirt, but whoever messages me on Snapchat, Facebook, or Instagram, or if you don't have that stuff and you want to email us at marketing@fitnessgrizzly.com, all I want you to say is, I listened to episode 11 and I'm in. Say something like that. Shoot it to me personally. Shoot it to our email. You'll be entered to win a free shirt. I will let you guys know how many people got entered to win that, or I will talk more about this after the 17th. But my goal is to see how many people listen to this, see how many people reach out. I will be giving away free shirts. There'll probably be a podcast style shirt or the Grizzly Life style shirt, but a free shirt's a free shirt. So I appreciate you guys being day one listeners. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.